up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the Flow Show, no filter. Back for another episode. A lot of crazy stuff to talk about. Got a lot of Diddy updates. And of course, today is the day that Diddy has a court date. We'll see how that turns out. Go over what they're gonna go over today. And Diddy has made some not weird, but some requests. Diddy want to put some regular shit on. He want to get fly. So they're gonna see what they're gonna let him dress in, what clothes they're gonna let him wear, all kind of crazy shit. But it's another lawsuit that has come in. Good morning. But before I get into all that, let me cover my ass, no Diddy. The thoughts, views, and opinions shared on the Flow Show, no filter, are for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a professional. I am just good. What's up, Melissa? Good morning. RX, good morning. Lily, good morning. C Tuck, good morning. Who else we got up in here? Big R, Desi, Angie, Danae, Lindsay. The whole gang is in the building. Good morning to everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed their hump day. I had a lot of running around to do yesterday for sure. Tahara, what's up? Dawn, what's going on? What is going on? How was Grandma Kathy's birthday? Everybody wish happy Kathy a happy belated birthday. Grandma Kathy. How did you enjoy Grandma Kathy? How'd you spend your birthday? Good morning, Tracy. Dittler. Oh, what the hell did Dittler got going on? We got to talk about it. September 17, double nickels. I think I missed a freaking court date. Yeah, I think I missed my court date. I gotta check my schedule. I might have a warrant. I gotta go up to the court. I think I missed it yesterday. I believe. I gotta check. Running around doing shit and forgot about my damn court date. Yesterday was my birthday and I enjoyed it. So hold on, we had 2 birthdays. So we had 2 birthdays. We had Tahara too. So we had Tahara and Grandma Kathy's birthday. So what I know, Tracy. So Grandma Kathy said she had spent time with the kids and 4 grandkids and some Hawaiian barbecue. Sounds like fun. Happy belated birthday to Tahara. So we got birthday twins in the chat. We got some birthday twins. We got Tahara and Grandma Kathy born on the 24th. So we had Juice on the 23rd. Grandma Kathy and Tahara on the 24th. We had C Tuck last week. And who birthday we got coming up? Any birthdays coming up? Let me know. Any birthdays coming up? Hey, Miss Sweet Tooth. So let's get this party started right. So we're talking about Diddy court date today. And today's court date is about, will he get acquittal from his case? Will he be granted a whole new trial? Or will the judge tell him to kick rocks and flip flops with no socks? That is what today's court date is about. I'm thinking the judge gonna tell him to kick rocks or flip flops with no socks, but we shall see. Diddy wanted to wear special clothes today. Let's talk about it. So the judge, in response to Diddy wanting to wear some new clothes, this is what the judge responded with. Upon the application of Tenny Garagos, attorney of defendant Sean Combs, it is hereby ordered that the defendant Sean Combs, inmate 37452-054, will be permitted to receive non-prison clothing at the MDC to wear for his appearance on September 25th, 2025, and his sentencing on October 3rd, 2025. They got the wrong date, but anyway, he is permitted to have 2 button-down shirts, 2 pair of pants, 2 sweaters, 1 pair of shoes without laces to wear to court. So he can wear some nice clothes. Tracy says dress him in a tiger costume, and he's still an itty bitty titty. So his clothing is gonna sway the judge's decision? No, I don't know. No laces. No laces. Not allowed to have any laces. Mel Max said, does he think that is going to change the sentencing? So the judge gave him a little minor victory, told him he can wear a nice little button down and some pants. Melissa says, what a turd. So let's see what else we got here. So what are they going over? In the letter, in the paperwork file, Aaron Subramanian, the parties have asked the court what issues they should focus on during Thursday's hearing on Combs' post-trial motions. In addition to any other issues the parties wish to bring up, the court would like the parties to address the following questions. In response, does the government have any Supreme Court or Second Circuit case that has deemed a defendant's Rule 29 argument waived or forfeited in circumstances such as those presented in this case? If Combs were to prevail on his construction of prostitution, then would his conviction nevertheless stand on an aiding and abetting or willfully causing theory? Why or why not? Addressing the O'Brien factors, why is the government's interest important and the Mann Act's prohibitions no more than essential? What are the 1 to 2 best Supreme Court or Second Circuit cases supporting each side's position on these factors? Number 4, Combs argues that the record shows that every time an escort traveled across state lines and had sex, he filmed it. Is that true? If it is, does it change the First Amendment analysis? The parties will be so given up to 20 minutes each to address any other issues. So this is the showdown. Diddy Y'all know Diddy saying that he was just making amateur corn. He was making amateur corn. This is the excuse of why he's saying the Mann Act shouldn't apply. For one, he is saying that what they deem, he was caught up on prostitution charges. So as far as prostitution charges, prostitution, as far as what Diddy and his legal team are saying, is back in the day when the Mann Act was created. This is Diddy's legal team's argument. They're saying prostitution was when a wife cheated on her husband. They're arguing that that is not what happened here. And since the Mann Act is from back in the day, it should follow the back in the day rules. That's one thing. Then they also say what he did was nothing different than just making corn, X-rated videos, whatever you want to call them. And there's nothing illegal about that. Now, would a judge side with Diddy on this shit? Who knows? But I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But y'all remember the stylist? I think his last name was Nash. And remember, he went on the stand and he went on the stand during the Diddy trial. And he went into detail about how Diddy put his hands on people and was violent, and said that he witnessed things. He witnessed violence. He witnessed Diddy being enraged and doing things with people. Well, yeah, Deontay. There you go. Thank you, Mel Mac. Yeah, Deontay Nash. So Deontay Nash has come forward with a lawsuit. He has come forward with a lawsuit. And another thing we're going to talk about after we talk about this lawsuit, we're going to talk a little bit about what the probation department is recommending for Diddy and what that means and what that could possibly mean for how much time he's looking at getting. But right now, let's talk about Deontay Nash lawsuit. He has a lawsuit on Diddy. This is courtesy of CBS News. Former stylist for Sean Diddy Combs accuses mogul of sexual abuse and violence in new lawsuit. A former stylist for Sean Diddy Combs, who testified against the disgraced music mogul in the federal criminal trial earlier this year, filed a lawsuit Wednesday accusing Combs of sexual abuse and violence while he was employed by Combs. Now, remember, he detailed some of this stuff during the trial. He was one of the character witnesses, or one of the witnesses that just had a lot of people cracking up and laughing. It wasn't funny, but he had some funny moments. Well, he has taken a step forward now and come with an actual lawsuit. The 37-page lawsuit filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on behalf of Deontay Nash against Combs and Combs' label Bad Boy Entertainment also accuses Combs of sexual battery, human trafficking, and false imprisonment. According to the lawsuit, Nash said he was hired to be Combs' stylist around 2008 at the age of 21 and worked for him until about 2018. Nash said that during that time period, he also worked as a stylist and creative director for Combs' then girlfriend, R&B singer Cassandra Ventura. Cassandra Ventura, also known as Cassie, also, we all know, accused Combs of sexual abuse in a 2023 lawsuit and gave graphic testimony against him in his trial. Nash personally experienced sexual, physical, mental, and emotional abuse at the hands of defendants during his 10-year employment, including forced tests of loyalty and manipulation, sexual harassment and sexual assault, physical violence and manhandling, labor trafficking, threats of harm, threats of death. The lawsuit against Combs reads. Now, basically, he's saying Diddy threatened his life, threatened his well-being, harassed him, forced test of loyalty, like making people possibly take certain drugs, all kind of shit. Manhandling. What the hell is that? How do you, if you sue him for manhandling, what the hell was Diddy doing? How do you just manhandle somebody where they got to sue you for manhandling? Threats of harm, threats of death. The lawsuit alleges that Nash was sexually assaulted by Combs on multiple occasions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember Nash talking about sexual assault on him during the case. So is this new news? So did I miss something? Did Deontay talk about Diddy sexually assaulting him during the trial, or is this new news? Because I don't remember that during the trial. Because now Nash is saying he was sexually assaulted. Okay, I thought so. Tahira said this is new. Yeah, I'm over here like I don't remember. I don't remember Nash. Yeah, I don't know why. I just know I didn't remember him saying that. So I'm like, oh, hold on. This is a whole new. He opened up a whole nother can of worms. There's a whole nother can of worms being opened up, y'all. Now the stylist. Okay, Angie said she don't remember anyway. So now we got a stylist saying that Diddy essayed him. This is all new. So let's see. Let's get into it. Nash said the alleged abuse prompted him to resign in 2018. But Combs continued to threaten Mr. Nash after his employment ended. CBS News has reached out to Combs' attorneys for a comment on the lawsuit, but no response. In one incident that Nash claims occurred in 2013 or 14, Combs discovered that Nash and Ventura had gone out to dinner in LA without Combs' permission. The following day, the lawsuit states Combs threw Nash onto a car and violently strangled him. Here's the scene. Cassie and Ventura go out to dinner. But apparently they need Diddy's permission to go out to dinner. Diddy finds out the following day and put hands, feet, and paws on Nash and choked him out. Allegedly. This is exactly what I was getting to. How in the world how was none of this brought up during the trial, y'all? Make it make sense. How was this not brought up during the trial? How was he on the stand and not talking about shit that he was going through? This trial, I don't understand the Diddy trial at this point. I don't understand the Diddy trial at this point. It don't make no sense that this wasn't brought up. Whether this true, whatever, I'm not getting into that. I don't understand how this was not brought up at all. Thirsty Thursday. I forgot my water. Y'all got y'all coffee? Y'all got y'all coffee? Take another sip. Y'all got y'all puff, 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 puff. Take another puff. I don't understand how this was not brought up in the freaking trial. We got a case where Diddy's accused of doing all this sexually assaulting, and you got people on the stand who have alleged stories of sexual assault, and it's not brought up at all. Not at all. Not brought up at all. Don't make no sense. Yeah, water for me too. Thirsty Thursdays, you know, it's a reminder for everybody to drink their water on Thirsty Thursdays. But what in the hell? Well, that's my point. That's my point. They got somebody said they got to talk about the case. My point is, why is this not in the case? But you got a whole section of victim number 3, Gina, who didn't even fucking show up. So you wasted basically a third of the whole case, and you got people like this testifying who are there that you're not mentioning sexual assault. You literally had people on the stand who were sexually assaulted, allegedly sexually assaulted by Diddy. You literally had them on the stand, and it wasn't brought in as evidence. It wasn't a part of the case. Yet you have somebody like Gina, victim number 3, who you have all off and through the indictment, and she didn't even show up for the case. This case was a shit show. It just, no matter how you slice it, it just don't make no sense. Yeah, I'm starting to understand why she was fired. I don't understand what happened. I don't understand what was it was just too much. I don't see how you leave that out. A stylist who worked with him saying he was strangled and sexually assaulted. I don't understand how this person takes the stand, yet none of this is brought up at all. I don't get it. It goes on to say, on another occasion, in 2014, Combs and his security team allegedly entered Nash's home without permission. So they basically break in his home, confiscated Mr. Nash's keys and phone while they forcibly searched the house for Ventura. So they allegedly breaking this man's house, confiscated his keys and his phone, all while they looking for Cassie. This case absolutely makes no sense. It was poorly ran. Somebody said they may not have allowed it in this trial. That's the problem. Why not? Why wasn't it thoroughly? Why are you having? Okay, put it like this. Put it like this, y'all. Let me, and I'm talking to everybody. I hear some of the people saying in the chats, I see them saying maybe they wouldn't allowed it, maybe this and that. Let me make this real easy and common sense wise. Listen to this, y'all. If you have a trial where someone is accused of sexually assaulting people, right? Listen to this. I need everybody to listen clearly. If you have a case where someone is accused of sexually assaulting motherfuckers left and right, what sense does it make to have someone on the stand who has been sexually assaulted by this person, allegedly, and not bring it up? For example, if R. Kelly was on trial for assaulting minors or assaulting women, would you have a woman on trial talking about everything else that's been going on and not bringing up her own assault? Y'all got to tell me how that makes sense. You got a person on the trial, on the stand, who has been assaulted by the defendant. And you're going to tell me there's some way that it makes sense that they don't talk about being assaulted by that defendant? So he's on the stand. He's been assaulted by the defendant, but because whatever reason, he's not talking about it. I see why they lost. Y'all name me another trial. Y'all name me another instance, and I need this in the chat. Y'all name me another instance where someone was on trial involving sexual assault, and they had people on the stand who were sexually assaulted by the defendant, and they didn't bring it up. I need someone in the chat to name me another case where we have a defendant on trial for sexually assaulting people, and then they have someone on the stand who's claimed they were sexually assaulted by that defendant, but they didn't talk about it. I need that case. I need that case in the chat. The same way that people putting in the chat that maybe they couldn't cover it, or that, you know, we making it. Okay, so put me in the case where we had people on the stand. I just need one case, because y'all gotta tell it. That don't make no sense. It's still, I don't care what we saying, it still needs to make sense. So I need to find another case where someone who was assaulted took the stand and talked about everything except how they were assaulted. That don't make no sense. And that is why y'all can't find one case where it's ever happened. I ain't seen one case listed in the chat yet where we have people who have claiming to be assaulted by the defendant in a case that involves sexual assault. We haven't had one case where a person gets on the stand and don't talk about it. Now I see why they lost this fucking case. Thank you for the $5 holla, T-Shoe. Thank you for the $5 holla. $5 holla. I'm about to eat good today. Nobody went on Harvey. $1.99, $2 holla. Thank you, Angelina. Love the Full Show fam and the Wake and Bake crew. Can't believe. Yeah, Lily says this Diddy bullshit case pisses me off so bad. It don't make no sense. Let's continue. Let's continue. After enduring years of abuse, I finally found the courage during the criminal trial, and I'm now ready to take action, that said in a statement. Sean Combs has never taken accountability for the years of harm he inflicted on me and so many others. And so many others. But just like another example, you mean to tell me, let's say that the David case. Let's say David goes to trial. Y'all know David is the singer who's accused of sexually of being in a relationship with a young girl, but he's accused of unaliving her, right? Follow me. You mean to tell me they would go to trial and they would have women on the stand who also dated him when they were young girls, and you mean to tell me they won't bring that up? It's a chance that they won't bring that up. They'll just put them on the stand to talk about other shit that happened to other people, but they won't have them on the stand talking about, hey, this person did it to me too. You're gonna lose then. If that's how you running cases, you're gonna lose. That don't make no sense at all. Ain't no case where you have victims who've been victimized by the defendant, but they don't tell that what has been done to them. That don't make no sense. I don't care what nobody say. That don't make no sense. You're not gonna have a person on the stand talking about everybody else's abuse and not mention their own if they have been abused by this defendant. Don't make no sense. People would go crazy if you had people on the stand in the David trial. If he goes to trial and you got women that he sexually, whatever, when they were young, and they don't mention it, but they talk about what happened to other women. That don't make no sense, y'all. Come on now. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. So many things about the damn Diddy trial that make no fucking sense. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It says a few things. It says that they the feds rushed, or the prosecution rushed. They rushed and didn't thoroughly vet everybody. Like I said, they had witnesses like Gina who didn't even end up showing up, or victims. Victim number 3, Gina, never even showed up. Then you got victims who had stuff done to them that were there, but you're not talking about what happened to them. It just don't make sense all across the board. It don't make sense all across the board. So you're gonna have you dealing with victims who don't show up, wasting time. A third of the indictment doesn't even get touched. But then you got victims who have had stuff to them that were there, but they didn't talk about what happened to them. Come on, y'all. After enduring years of abuse, I finally got the courage, he says. So in July, following a lengthy trial, of course, Combs was found not guilty of the serious charges. Of course, Kathy, we know about the video. We don't got to go into that. Nash also testified in the trial that Combs threatened Ventura and that he would beat her. We all know that. Nash testified about a time when Combs allegedly grabbed a sleeping Cassie by the hair and started hitting her really hard. Nash said Ventura's head hit a bed frame and started bleeding. And Combs then told her, Nash and an assistant, look what y'all made me do. Nash testified he dialed 911 but was told to hang up. He said he feared retaliation, but did tell some Combs employees about alleged abuse and told jurors Combs got physical with him a few times. During the trial, Combs' attorney denied the sexual abuse allegations brought by Ventura. And it was just a partying lifestyle. Nash lawsuit seeks both compensatory and punitive damage and demands a jury trial. We shall see how this turns out. But like I said, whatever the reason is for having people on the stand who were allegedly assaulted but not bringing it up, whatever your reason is, fundamentally, it makes absolutely no sense. You can say, well, maybe they wanted to focus on this aspect of the trial. You can say, well, he wasn't part of the victims, so they wanted to focus on the victims. You can say a lot of different things. But the bottom line is to have someone on the stand who has been sexually assaulted by the defendant and not have that brought up in any kind of way makes no sense. So the more we dig into this case, the more I see why they lost, why they didn't get the bigger charges. They forgot the element of common sense. They forgot the element of common sense. 'Cause And that is what you have to remember when you're doing a case. Common sense. Because you got a lot of jurors who are just regular people. That is one thing they did different in the R. Kelly case. They had all kind of victims and all kind of people speaking. They had all kind of people speaking in the R. Kelly case, all kind of victims. They let all the victims say something. But in the Diddy trial, it appears that they just focus on Cassie, unfortunately Gina, and a couple of the other women. But apparently they had people on the stand who had been assaulted that didn't even bring it up. And the thing is this, y'all. They brought up so much bullshit about the Nash guy. They talked about stuff like just different things that Nash did with Diddy that didn't have nothing to do with anything, didn't have nothing to do with Cassie. They laughing in the courtroom. I feel like they could have brought up more things, more serious things than all the joking and shit that was going on. Remember, I was in the courtroom. Listen, man, listen. Denise, I'm talking about before the rules of evidence. What I'm saying is it's fundamentally wrong to have somebody take the stand and don't have them talk about the person on trial who sexually assaulted them. So what I'm saying is if it's not in evidence, it should have been. That is my point. Let me put it to y'all like this. If you got a murderer on trial for murdering people, and then you have somebody take the stand who he tried to murder, but they don't bring that up, that is dumb. That would be stupid. I am not. Y'all are justifying why it was done. I am saying having somebody on the stand who was sexually assaulted by the person who is literally currently on trial and not mentioning it is a big reason why you lost. They didn't handle this trial right. If I am a carjacker, if I am stealing cars, and you are trying to get me convicted for stealing cars, if you put somebody on the witness stand in which I stole their car, but don't have them mention it, that don't make no sense. That is what I'm saying. I'm not arguing if it was in evidence, why they waited, when they waited, what they could have did, what the law said. I'm saying fundamentally, it's part of the reason why they lost. I think some of y'all are not catching that part of it. I'm trying to get y'all to understand, if you have somebody who says that this defendant did what he's accused of, he did it to me. If you have somebody get on the trial and not mention it at all, that's part of the reason why you lost. See, the defense argue whether they right or wrong, they use common sense. They talked, whether people agree with what they're saying, they made it, whatever their point was, they used common sense and got their point across. The prosecution made it way too complicated, and where the common person can't understand. But if you have people, many different people going on there saying he assaulted me, he assaulted me, he assaulted me, jurors can understand that. Jurors can understand that. But as far as you saying, oh, they didn't want to enter this into evidence, this wasn't entered. Jurors, as you can see, don't understand all that shit. And that was the biggest mistake. The same thing, y'all want jurors to know all these, like to understand what y'all saying. This is why they lost. You got to remember, these are regular jurors. These are emotions. People go off emotions. People go off common sense. You want to present a case, you want to present it in a way where it makes sense, common sense to a juror in the juror box. You let Diddy off the hook when you let somebody take the stand who has been assaulted by him and they don't talk about it. You let him off the hook. Bottom line, you let him off the hook. Definitely let him off the hook. Definitely let him off the hook. That is my point. So if they rushed, they rushed. If they rushed, they rushed. If somebody being assaulted, especially a man being assaulted by Diddy, if you don't have that in the evidence, you let them off the hook. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to the root of the problem. Some of y'all are talking about the outcome or why they couldn't do this, why they couldn't do it. I'm going to the root. The root is it should have been. There shouldn't have been anybody taking that stand who are assaulted that didn't tell that they were assaulted by that man. If you trying to paint the picture that this man is assaulting people. This is why they were able to say these were just girlfriends. Because that's all y'all presented. All y'all presented was girlfriends. But if you're trying to show that somebody broke the law and they just assaulting people in general, you would think you would show some assault by other people or talk about some assault by like a stylist. But the only assault we see are quote unquote girlfriends. I'm telling you this, if I was a criminal and you had people that I victimized get on the stand and you didn't have them talk about what I did to them, I would be happy as hell. I'm telling y'all that right now. If I was a criminal, if I was Diddy, and I seen y'all put people on the stand that I victimized, but y'all didn't have them mention it at all or talk about it in the case, I would be happy as hell. I'd be wiping the sweat off my forehead. Whoo, I got away with that one. They whole ass got this person on the stand that I assaulted, but for whatever technicality, they not talking about me assaulting them. I would be happy as hell. I would be happy as hell. And any criminal would be happy as hell about that. Oh, okay, y'all gonna have people on the stand that I victimized and they ain't gonna talk about it at all? And I victimized and it's sexually, which is what half this case is about? Good. Great. I would count that as a victory, a small victory for me. That is my point. And that is how you lose. That is how you lose. In a way, it seemed like it was may have been rigged. May have been rigged. Yep, all that money paid for. And we supposed to, and look, and they got us, they got us as a society, they got us so fooled that we justify sexual assault victims taking a stand and not talking about their own sexual assault when the defendant is on trial for that. They making us figure out ways how that makes sense. They good, man. I'm telling you, they good. The way they got this system rigged, they're good. They have us believing this shit. When if you just use your common sense, your God-given common sense, it don't make no sense, y'all. Somebody dropped the ball, whether it was preparing the case, whether it was interviewing victims, however they did it. And you know how we know that they dropped the ball? Because he was acquitted on the more serious charges. That's how we know they dropped the ball. So what we do know is whatever approach they took didn't work. So we can make all the excuses we want about why this evidence wasn't put into play, and how, like Denise said, they have rules of evidence for this, that. But what we know is it didn't work. That we do know. We know whatever case they presented and whatever they cherry picked, we know it didn't work. So now that we know it didn't work, we need to go back to the start of it and see where they missed the ball at, where they dropped the ball at. And the more evidence and more information that comes out, it is becoming apparent of how and where they dropped the ball. You will never, ever convince me that having somebody who was victimized on the stand, who was an employee of this RICO at the headmaster RICO, you mean to tell me an employee who wasn't a girlfriend, who wasn't none of that, was sexually assaulted, an employee was sexually assaulted, and that shit didn't come up in the trial? And we sitting around making excuses of why it didn't. Nah, don't make sense. And the only part that makes sense is I see why they lost. I see why the prosecution, on top of not having the jury sequestered, I said that. I said the jury should have been sequestered from the very beginning. That was a big red flag. A ball was dropped. That was a big ball drop. Being sequestered. And then now having people who obviously were assaulted, or I won't say obviously, allegedly assaulted. And now they've been on the stand where they had to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Now, after the fact, we finding out people who were on the stand were assaulted. It didn't get brought up, but we waiting on Gina, who was allegedly a victim who didn't even show up. You add up all those things, and now it don't. I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised the prosecution did a terrible job. I'm not even surprised. If you think you can beat somebody with Diddy's money without throwing every victim's story at him, then you deserve to lose. Like you came to lose. That prosecution didn't come to win by leaving shit out. You didn't come to win by leaving shit out like that, in my opinion. This makes the case look shitty as hell. All these people who were actually victims that were on the stand, and so we only hear from the women. We didn't hear from none of the men who were sexually assaulted, allegedly. Because you could have put to bed the idea that these were just a bunch of girlfriends. You could have put that to bed. Because that is what the defense pressed, and that is what the jury believed. So we have the benefit of knowing how it turned out to know where they went wrong at. I say again, we have the benefit of knowing that obviously the jury believed these were just girlfriends, and these were just, for the most part, it wasn't a RICO, it wasn't sex trafficking. And it's just sad to me to find out how this case was poorly ran. How this case was poorly ran. You got people on trial taking a stand who had horrific shit happen to them. Allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because I don't, he didn't say it on the stand, so I don't know. We'll see when the court case comes up. But according to him, he was sexually assaulted. I'm sure Diddy was ecstatic to know that they weren't gonna be talking about none of that in the case. I'm sure Diddy would rather them not talk about that. And he got his wish. So we will see how today turns out. Will Diddy get the acquittal that he's looking for? Will the judge grant Diddy a whole new trial? Or will the judge tell him to kick rocks with no socks and flip-flops? I'm thinking option number 3. But hey, we shall see. All I'm saying is a lot of balls were dropped during this trial. And one way we know a lot of balls were dropped is the outcome. So whatever reason, one thing we can agree on, whatever the reason was, they presented this case totally wrong. That's my point. And we can't argue that. Whatever they did, shit didn't work. So one thing about it, when what you did didn't work, don't nobody give a fuck what your reason is behind it. It didn't work. Whatever evidence you pulled wasn't the right evidence. It wasn't presented right. And the jury told you that. That is the bottom line. We have the outcome to show us whether that approach was worked or not. Just like I said from the very beginning, them not being sequestered was some bullshit. But now to know that people were actually on the stand who were allegedly assaulted, but somehow that wasn't admitted, like they didn't have that in the case, they didn't research that, this shit was poorly put together, and that's that. So at the end of the day, I am about to dig into this court case, this court hearing today, see what this judge decides. I'm anxious. Not only do I want to see what the judge decides, I am anxious to see the demeanor and the approach that this judge takes to today's hearing to get an idea of how he really feeling about Diddy as we head into this sentencing. So with all that, Tahira says he will be denied today. I believe that to be the case. But not only do I want to see that he's denied, I want to see how he's denied, how the judge addresses this to get an idea of the judge's temperature going into sentencing. Another great show. Thank y'all. Let's get the mouse in the chat. See y'all tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, the Flow Show, no filter, where we talk about it, no filter. We get straight to the fucking point, and it is what it is. If it don't make sense, I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't gonna make it make sense. If it don't make sense, I'm not gonna make it make sense. I deal with common sense. Love you all, and as always, like C-Tuck says, I'll have a safe and wonderful day. Yes, Dawn, I'm going to check on my court. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to check on my court info immediately. As soon as this show over, I'm going straight to the court. I'm going straight to the court. I'll let y'all know tomorrow. All right, Grandma Kathy. Tahira, thanks again. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Grandma Kathy. Happy belated birthday to everybody in the building, S&M. Here's hoping Diddy goes down. Peace, everyone. I'm out. And as always, I love y'all. But I'm out. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for the love. I'm out.